Welcome to the Zesty Podcast. We are Megan and Dr. Alex. We are here for transformation. Yours, ours, and the collective. Personal and professional for practitioners. But not just any transformation. Compassionate transformation. Because between the two of us, we have seemed to have done things the painful way. Let our pitfalls become your stepping stones. We aren't afraid to share our raw and vulnerable truths in order to help you transform your thinking, your body, your heart, and your soul. Combining 15 years of functional medicine with brain-based habit change to lead you to the best life possible in a compassionate way. Compassion, yes, yet plan to roll up your sleeves. Transformation requires your participation. And a quick reminder, this information is not meant to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your doctor, not this doctor, before making changes. Now let's get into the episode. Hello everybody, this is Dr. Alex here with you. I'm so glad that you are here. Today we're going to talk about the question of, is your masculine tired? So this is going along in our series of the masculine and feminine principles. These are energy systems in place that are a part of who we are. This is a series, so if you haven't heard the ones leading up to this, there's just a few of them right now. Go ahead and catch up, or you can listen to this one and go back. It doesn't matter too much. But if there's any parts where you get stuck, go to the beginning, because sometimes people have misunderstandings of some of these terms, and I just want to make that clear on what we're actually talking about, right? So this question of, is your masculine tired, is a really good one, because when I talk about the experiences of someone whose masculine is tired, many people relate to these things. So, briefly, what are they? An overactive masculine is a person who is experiencing things like the rush to overdo. And often the thing that lies at the heart of overdoing for someone who is pushing their masculine is really it's a self-worth question. And it goes like this. If I say I am successful, or I say that I am smart, or I say that I am kind, then if I do the things that either create evidence or are evidence of that, then I can have reassurance that what I'm saying is true about me. When that is aligned and that is actually true and your brain believes it and accepts the idea, then people are like, cool, no problem. But occasionally, or often, depending on what's going on and what area of life you're talking about, there will be kind of a significant opening for a crack and like a crack of doubt. And it invites mental gremlins that say, are you sure that you are who you say you are? And then the more there is of that, the more where you're like, am I? And of course, sometimes you're like, no, I'm good. And sometimes you have a moment of fear, weakness, tired, whatever, lonely. And you are like, this seems like a very real possibility. That is actually something I wish to be true about myself, but it is not. There's common areas of life where this shows up. Health struggles, body image things, relationship areas, and of course in business and making money and career, this shows up. And so depending on where it's true, and there can certainly be multiple areas of life, this is where we do things like overwork. If I keep doing, then I can always be the person doing the doing, and that's what I stand on to feel good about myself. Once the doing goes away, though, that evidence perceived by me goes away. And now I feel the emotional discomfort of wondering if those doubts about myself are true. So I'm guessing that you are listening and you are like, oh, yeah, I relate to this. Because whether it's pushing yourself to go for a run when you know you're really exhausted and you only slept 2 hours and you just got back from Europe, or you are pushing in your business, like, let me do, and if I work 16 hours a day, then my business will be successful. Or if I constantly text that person and I stay top of mind and I do nice things for them and I seem like the greatest person since sliced bread, is then all versions of what this looks like. And just for reassurance, I have done all of the above, like, all at once. So if you're sitting and listening, or you're on a walk or wherever you are and you're like, oh no, this is me, well, that's okay. Honestly, it's okay. This is such a common experience that it's just worth talking about, right? That this is why so often we do this stuff, and that's why it's so key that we have these kind of conversations. If we leave out masculine and feminine principles, as our society tends to do at the moment, we miss out on conversations like this that normalize these experiences that we're all having anyways. We're just more like pretending to various degrees that they aren't happening. And, some of them sometimes we're so good that we don't even realize we're doing it. Like, the awareness is not even there. But once we have the awareness, the second thing that I soothe myself with, in addition to, well, this is a human experience and I am one, so check. But number two is that once awareness is present, then we have choices about resources. Now, that may not happen right away the way we all desire, but it can happen, because if we know the problem, we can spend time looking for the answers that match that and that we can try out and that we can vet and see if it works for us. So the start of this is actually a big portion of the success. So don't worry about it if you're relating a lot to this. Other things that represent, besides overdoing a tired masculine, is a lot of protecting your heart. So if you experience the push and pull of connection, which we all inherently desire as human beings, it's kind of innate to us, and then things that protect your heart, and that can look like pushing people away, closing down, not letting people in, keeping yourself very separate from others, things like that, where you find yourself wondering if it's safe and doing something to ensure that it is often that overacting. Now, there are times where that is 1,000% appropriate. And we all know that most of the time in life, we are more dealing with the unknown or vulnerability. And long story short, it's just scary. So we use our masculine to protect ourselves. Like I said, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But the question is, what are you protecting yourself from? And if it's your own future money and your own future happiness and your own future love and connection with people, well, that's where people are like, actually, I don't want to do that. I'm not proud of that. I'm not happy about it. That's not actually what I desire or what I want. And so that overactivity of the masculine, overprotection, is simply just using up more energy of yours that you ideally would want to be using to create results in your life, like making things happen, instead of protecting yourself and realizing it's keeping you from the things that you want, right? So that is, these two broad categories capture a lot of what the details look like for people, like the actual manifestations of the actions that they take. But you can see how this would be, you could watch it across people and see within yourself the things that happen in life and the ways of thinking that bring out these actions in you. What in me causes me and pushes me to keep doing these things. The awareness of that, right? Moving on the cookie crumb trail, or I think of it as Reese's Pieces from ET. You're like just picking up the next Reese's Pieces. You're essentially like, oh, first of all, my masculine's overworking. Got it. And then the next Reese's Pieces is, oh, I see. This is where I am protecting myself, right? And then what in me brings that out that I can bring awareness to, so that the next Reese's Pieces is, how do I want to work with this? How do I want to bring healing to this? How do I want to interact with this aspect of myself so that I am, A, being authentic, but also B, actually giving myself what I authentically need then to match whatever is going on. It's a very gentle, loving, compassionate way of treating ourselves that also doesn't allow things like self-sabotage or BSing ourselves or things like toxic positivity, which we unequivocally do not want to get into because of the lack of authenticity, just fractures us further from ourselves, right? So those kind of things, the more we are aware of them, the more that we are protected. So with all of this going on, this is how we kind of diagnose if this is happening. But the flip side, really, the way that I see that is using our power of receiving and receptivity. All right. So the antidote, in my opinion, then becomes when we figure out what in us drives those. Where is it? Fear? Is it low self-worth, right? How can I receive more of what soothes that occurrence, right? So if I am constantly wondering if I am good enough, how can I, for example, and this is just one example, how can I do something daily that I do feel good about, that I can strengthen the muscle of confidence? Yes, I do this and it is good. It might be you give the best hug, so you give a hug every day and receive a hug and actually allow yourself to feel that and receive the warm, cozy feedback of, oh, your hugs feel so good. Or maybe it's listening and someone says, so it's not that you're not taking action, right? But the action is paired with what we are seeking to receive, right? And so often these are less effort-dependent actions, so we don't have to use up a lot of energy, but we actually receive quite a bit of energy back. Now we're up and running more. So figuring out the things that trigger us, the things that push us, and soothing them and allowing ourselves to receive the healing of that is normalizing the pendulum swinging, because masculine and feminine really is a fluid state, right? At any given point, it could be very appropriate to pop back into masculine and on another moment right back into feminine, or vice versa, depending on how you personally identify with these energies. And so it begins to allow us to navigate the swinging of the pendulum and just get to know our own pendulum style. How will we know what's happening within us? How will we cultivate that awareness? What does it look like for us? It's really, when people say the point of life is getting to know yourself, these are the practical ways that people actually do that. I oftentimes find that these kind of statements, they don't mean much to people. It doesn't translate into like, well, what do I actually do? Kind of like, how do I love myself? These things that we're talking about is my version of this is what you actually can do. These are actions that you can take, and like how you spend your day making your own life feel juicier, more flowy, more peaceful, more loving, whatever it is, more fun, whatever it is that you're actually seeking for. In this way, if you feel that you are predominantly feminine and you have a masculine in your life, or if you feel more masculine and that feels like it's overrepresented in you. If you have a partner or a close loved one of some capacity that you partner with, these are close dynamics, then that is where we can let the masculine of our partner take over, lead us, support us, and direct us, right? We talked about in the What is the Masculine episode on the directive flow that the masculine provides, which is so soothing and a real strength and benefit of what the masculine provides. And so this is an opportunity where for yourself, you're cultivating this within your own energies. But if you have somebody else to play this out with in the real world, it can add even more depth. And what happens is, in some ways, it makes things easier, and in some things, it makes it harder. So let me explain. When we are working within ourselves, there's nobody else to come and trigger us in the form of, like, they hold a mirror up to our face and it becomes really clear what's going on, right? That it feels hard, but because the awareness is like 50% of the problem or the resolution of the problem, then it shortens the time, and in my opinion, shorter, even if it's like tough to get through. Most people have an easier time toughing through because they only got to hold on for a little bit. Now, not always true, but just in this particular sense, that's the more common pattern that I have seen. And so if you are doing it within yourself, you don't have as many of those wow moments, but it's also really easy to then not look in the mirror. You can you can kind of go into a thing, hide your head in the sand for 6 months, and then resurface and be like, oh shoot, I've been kind of wasting some time here. I'm not actually moving forward. My transformation is kind of stilted out. And so that's that version. None of these are bad. It's just what we contend with when we have someone in our life that holds the mirror up for us. Then we have to navigate the experience with them. So it creates an additional person and all of their parts to negotiate with, talk through, navigate, and hold space for emotions, right? So depending on what is happening in your life, you will know which one this is. To a certain extent, we all have the internal experience, right? Whether you have a partner or not. But just if you have somebody else, no matter how you feel about them, they are still participating in that process with you. And in some ways, even, very challenging partners that we are unpacking things with become a blessing in that we can see that the triggering in the mirror is doing something for us, and it doesn't then feel like it's constantly taking away something from us, right? That, oh my gosh, this is hard and I'm emotionally down and that this is difficult to get through. Yes, that can be true, and we can simultaneously have the awareness of, but because it's helping me become who I say I want to be, this is also helping me magnetize and attract the person I really want to be with, the person that is going to be most in alignment with what I'm looking for in these types of energies. And what's cool about that is that as we fight for that and as we navigate that, whether we are with a person and we are staying with them and we are navigating that relationship, whether we are coming out of one, whether we are not in a relationship, doesn't really matter. But this awareness then cultivates more of the possibility that we actually find and can authentically commune with, interfacing with somebody else in a way that works for both people. And in that experience, both people in the safety of that relationship are free and often do then find an easier time in their masculine and feminine, whichever one they identify with more, right? So even if it's the female in the relationship identifying with the masculine energies and then vice versa for the male partner, it's easier oftentimes in that way for both of them when people come authentic and then they find alignment with one each other. It's easier to stay in the place happily of where you are, right? The safety invites the ease of, ooh, okay, I can relax into who I am, and I can be my feminine self. I can be gentle and soft, even though at work I am directive and I need to set boundaries and I need to make lists and schedule, and whatever you got going on, flip it if you're masculine. This kind of thinking sets up, even if it's not now, a later point where things feel significantly easier. Just because there's a transition does not mean you're not working towards something much more easy and flowy and fun, right? So don't lose that higher perspective. Just because I'm not where I want to be right now doesn't mean I can't be. And in fact, this is the bumper lane life, right? When you run into a bumper lane, it knocks you back into the alignment towards the center, like in bowling, right? So when you bump into something, okay, I'm coming back then through this towards the center of who I want to be, creating an aligned life. That kind of thinking is protective against mental gremlins that'll take you down for a 12-month spin through, fear and anxiety and all sorts of stuff that are not that fun. So I hope that you are relating to this and bringing awareness to all of these things that are simply a human experience and does not represent anything wrong with you or anything that is deficient or anything that you did wrong. We just, over time, get to cultivate that knowledge of who we are, bring choices to that, like what do I want to do with that now, and live the life we want to live, which is a super cool proposition, right? The payment of that is often worth it for people. They're like, I'm willing to fight for the life that I want to live, and I'm willing to fight pretty darn hard. And with that, I hope that you have a great day, a great week, and I will catch you on the next episode.
Hi everyone, my name is Gulshan. I'm an integrative nutrition health coach. This past weekend, I had an opportunity to go to the event called Compassionate Habit Transformation, hosted by Megan and Dr. Alex from Zesty Ginger. I have been following them for many years, and meeting them in person with their community, with the powerful coaches that they created, it was really amazing. It was a life-changing experience for me. When I went into the event, I felt stuck to reach to my goal, to reach my true potential. I was shy, I have insecurities like little low confidence. Going there, I didn't know what to expect, but just going there in the environment, which was so uplifting, everybody was so encouraging, and it was non-judgmental. People shared their stories, they were vulnerable, and just listening to those stories, I was just so inspired and so encouraged. In that workshop, we spent a day and a half together. All the teachings that Megan and Dr. Alex taught us, they provide us resources and the tools that I have been using ever since, every day, to change my mindset around all the insecurities that I was feeling. They taught so many tools that I can use when I'm feeling overwhelmed by any situation, and the good thing is I can use them anytime. I taught that to my kids, and it was just really amazing experience. We did so many visualization exercises together that kind of helped me paint a clear picture of the future that I want for me and my family. And I would like to say thank you to Megan and Dr. Alex for teaching all the amazing tools and resources that's gonna help me to come out of my comfort zone and show up for myself. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming out to hang with us on the podcast. It is our goal to transform the way women are treated in healthcare. And we need your help. We need your help to get the word out. We have a lofty goal of 1 million downloads. And we know that as this podcast grows, we're going to be able to reach more women, get more amazing speakers for you, and bring the most cutting-edge information.
If you found these podclasses helpful, please take a moment to text 5 women you know the link to the series. We appreciate your help so much. Can't wait to see you next time.